You might think that if you're maxing out your retirement accounts like your 401k, you're all set in that front. Well, what if I told you there's some lesser known strategies that could help you stash away tens of thousands more while still balancing your lifestyle today? Hi everyone, I'm James, Chief Operating Officer and Financial Advisor at NerdWallet Wealth Partners, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down how high-income professionals can use their retirement accounts to their advantage. We'll lay a foundation for the discussion by comparing traditional versus Roth options, as well as their limits compared to saving in an after-tax brokerage account. We'll then explore workarounds to the statutory limits, like Backdoor Roths and the much-lauded Mega Backdoor Roth. Finally, we'll put the technical knowledge to work and talk about how to balance cash flow now versus building wealth in the future. Let's dig in, starting with a foundational refresher of traditional versus Roth retirement accounts and their limits. While this may feel like a basic review, you'd be surprised how many well-researched DIY investors overlook some of the rules. That means they could be leaving significant value behind by not truly understanding the fundamentals. The four key features of retirement accounts to note are number 1, the tax treatment, number 2, annual contribution limits, number 3, income limits for contributing, and number 4, withdrawal limits. Across all 4 of these features, we're talking about 2 key types of retirement accounts, traditional and Roth. These need to be compared with the simple after-tax saving in a brokerage account. To illustrate the benefits of each account type, we'll use an example of a high-earning couple and their expected tax rates, both now and in retirement. Meet Justin and Bryony Jones, a New York City-based couple in their early 30s. They currently earn a combined $400,000 per year, rent their apartment, and have no kids. They're good savers, aiming to save around $130,000 in 2025, while still living a really high-quality lifestyle in the city. Importantly for retirement planning, they plan to eventually move to and retire in Tennessee, where Bryony is from. Note that New York state income tax is one of the highest in the US, while Tennessee has no state income tax. A big question they have is where they should be saving their money to be as tax efficient as possible, in their 401ks, traditional or Roth, or in an after-tax brokerage account. So let's start with the first key feature, the broad tax treatment of retirement accounts. How do these 3 alternative tax treatments affect the value of your savings at retirement? Let's apply the nuance of each type of account to Justin and Bryony and see how different the post-tax value at retirement is. For the sake of the example, let's focus on $47,000 of their savings for 2025 and explore how different account types may affect potential tax outcomes. Let's say their expected combined federal, state, and local marginal tax rate in 2025 in New York City is 35%, and their average tax rate in retirement in Tennessee will be 15%. The first of the 3 account types we're contrasting is the traditional retirement account. In this account, contributions are made with pre-tax dollars, which may reduce your tax burden at the time of contribution and increase the amount you're able to invest today. The account grows tax-free, so there's no tax on interest, dividends, or capital gains until you withdraw from the account in retirement, at which point the withdrawals are taxed as income. In effect, you save tax at your marginal tax rate today and hopefully pay tax at a lower tax rate in the future, benefiting from the difference. Note that for Justin and Bryony, this effect is magnified by their intention to move to Tennessee in the future. They'd be avoiding paying tax on $47,000 of income today at their federal, New York State, and New York City local marginal tax rates, which combined make around 35%, and paying only federal taxes on the withdrawal in retirement, and remember there's no state income tax in Tennessee. In this case, using the growth assumption we spoke about, the $47,000 contribution today to a traditional retirement account would be worth around $314,000 after tax at age 60. That's the power of compounding. The second of the account types are Roth accounts. In these accounts, contributions are made with after-tax dollars, so your tax burden at the time of contribution is not impacted, for better or worse, and you're only able to invest your income after tax has been taken out. The account then grows tax-free, meaning there's no tax on interest, dividends, or capital gains. And, importantly, when you withdraw from the account in retirement, withdrawals are not taxed at all. In this case, the $47,000 contribution made by Justin and Bryony in 2025 would be worth $240,000 after tax at age 60. Now, that's a full 24% less than the traditional account, but it's still impressive compounding over time. Let's compare traditional and Roth retirement accounts to the third account type, if you just saved it in a standard after-tax brokerage account. Contributions are made with after-tax income, and you're taxed on both income in the portfolio pre-withdrawal, including dividends and interest received, and any capital gains incurred upon withdrawal from the portfolio. In this case, the $47,000 contribution today will be worth $200,000 after tax at age 60, assuming that there's an average annual market appreciation of 6% and that average dividend yield of 2%. That's 36% less than the traditional retirement account and 17% less than the Roth account. That's a massive difference despite the impressive growth. Note that while the Roth account isn't as good as the traditional account for Justin and Bryony, it's still much better than saving in the after-tax brokerage account. So in this example, traditional accounts resulted in the highest return, followed by the Roth and then the after-tax brokerage account. We therefore recommend that Justin and Bryony prioritize the traditional retirement accounts over the alternatives. This illustrates an important principle. If you expect to pay tax at a higher rate today than in the future, traditional is typically preferable. If the reverse is true, Roth is preferable. Most importantly, regardless of present or future tax rate considerations, both traditional and Roth are often preferable from a tax perspective when compared to a plain old after-tax brokerage account. Now that we know how each of these accounts works from a tax perspective, let's dig into the second key feature, annual contribution limits. Given that retirement accounts are one of the best saving mechanisms we have, regardless of how much you earn, why don't we just put all of our retirement savings into them? Unfortunately, it's not that simple. The IRS limits how much you can contribute to retirement accounts. For people under 50, the contribution to the 401k, traditional or Roth, is limited to $23,500 per person in 2025. This goes up with inflation every year and excludes any contribution by your employer. In fact, your combined contribution, yours plus your employer, can be up to $70,000 per year. We'll dig into that a bit later. You, however, are limited to directly contributing $23,500 per year. So, is it enough just to max that out every year? While saving $23,500 could result in significant capital accumulation over time, it's typically not enough for most high earners to maintain their lifestyle into retirement. Given we'd most likely want to continue living it up in perpetuity, we need to figure out how to save more outside the 401k limits. But what is the most efficient way of saving the balance beyond the traditional 401k limit? Fortunately, 401ks are not the only retirement accounts. We can also contribute to IRAs, both traditional and Roth. In IRAs, for people under 50, you're limited to $7,000 per year in either a traditional or Roth IRA. Does that simply mean, therefore, that you can contribute $30,500 per year? Unfortunately not. To limit the amount individuals can benefit from the tax efficiency of retirement accounts, income limits apply, and not conforming to the limits can be costly. So let's talk about the income limits for contributions to the different types of account. The good news is that there are no income limits for contributing to a 401k, which makes it a common starting point for high earners saving for retirement. How about beyond that? Contributing to an IRA, unfortunately, comes with income limits. This can be a bit of a trap for high earners who often think they can contribute to both their employer 401k and an IRA on their own in the same year. If you contribute to a 401k plan, contribution to an IRA, traditional or Roth, is limited by the amount you earn. The limit is surprisingly low. For example, assuming you're married filing jointly like Justin and Bryony, the limit is modified adjusted gross income of $146,000 for traditional IRA and $246,000 for Roth. If you make more than that, you are prohibited from contributing to these accounts as Justin and Bryony would be. Note that this is just an example of a person who is married filing jointly. The limits are quite nuanced to your circumstances. Are you single or married? Are you or your spouse covered by a retirement plan at work? It's crucial that you seek specific limits for your situation. Fortunately, there are two workarounds for income limits with nuanced alternatives to the 401k and IRA. Alternatives we'll refer to as the Backdoor Roths. Reddit loves the Backdoor Roth, so it's likely something you've heard about either online or from someone who has read something online. But how do they actually work? And are they the game changers so many people seem to think they are? A backdoor Roth is essentially a tax planning strategy that allows high earners to contribute to a Roth IRA despite income limits, by first making a non-deductible contribution to a traditional IRA and then converting it to a Roth IRA. This approach can provide some benefits, but depending on your circumstances, they may be quite limited. Now, let's unpack it. You're disqualified from contributing to an IRA if your income is over certain limits. Well, specifically regarding the traditional IRA, the limit applies to the deductibility of your contribution. A traditional account is contributed to pre-tax until the income limits are reached, after which all contributions are after tax. So you can still contribute up to the $7,000 limit per year to a traditional IRA, but you just don't receive the upfront tax benefit. A secondary mechanism called a Roth conversion then allows you to convert the after-tax contribution into a Roth account. You've now funded a Roth despite being above the income limits. That means your $7,000 has at least been more efficiently invested than it would have been in an after-tax brokerage account. Let's look again at our calculator and see how much Justin and Bryony would benefit from the backdoor Roth in 2025. If they each contributed $7,000, so $14,000 in total, to a Roth via backdoor Roth, that would be worth $71,500 post-tax at the age of 60 versus $59,500 if that same amount was invested in a taxable brokerage account. That $12,000 difference is not nothing. However, if we convert that amount into today's dollars, in other words, taking inflation out of the picture, the difference would be just $5,000. Despite being a relatively small amount, it would be worth it, right? Well, yes, of course, if you do it right. The trouble with the backdoor Roth strategy is threefold. First, it requires multiple steps which people could get wrong to varying negative effect. Second, the tax filing of the Roth conversion is complex and frequently incorrectly done, resulting in a double tax on IRA contributions, undermining the tax benefit of the strategy. Finally, the IRS applies a pro rata conversion rule to the IRA you're using, meaning that if there are any pre-tax contributions in the IRA, a portion of those contributions are deemed converted to Roth, resulting in a tax liability on conversion. What is important to know is that backdoor Roths are complex if done incorrectly and may pose significant issues. Consider consulting a financial advisor before you do this one yourself. The second workaround, in addition to the backdoor Roth, is what's often called the mega backdoor Roth. This retirement contribution strategy may allow certain high earners to contribute more than the standard annual limits, depending on the plan rules and eligibility. It's a complex strategy, but for Justin and Bryony, it represents another approach that could expand their retirement savings options. Remember earlier we spoke about how people under 50 are limited to $23,500 per year in contributions to 401ks, yet the total annual contribution limit was somehow $70,000? What's the point in having such a big limit if it can't be contributed to that extent, assuming of course your employer isn't funneling money into your 401k on your behalf? The mega backdoor Roth allows for the excess capacity to $70,000 to be filled. Unfortunately, it requires that your 401k plan allows for after-tax contributions, and one of two nuanced options for those after-tax contributions: in-plan Roth conversions or in-service withdrawals to a Roth IRA. Few retirement plans actually provide these options. In practice, what you're doing is contributing both pre-tax and after-tax money to your traditional 401k, and then converting or moving those contributions to a Roth IRA with no penalty. How much of a difference would these options make for Justin and Bryony? Assuming only Justin has access to a mega backdoor Roth, let's compare two examples. One, where they simply max out their 401ks and contribute the balance of their savings to their after-tax brokerage account. Or two, where Justin uses his mega backdoor Roth up to the $70,000 maximum. In this case, maxing out a mega backdoor Roth could result in almost $40,000 more in after-tax value by age 60. In today's dollars, that would be worth more than $17,000. That's definitely worth writing home about. Mega backdoor Roth contributions can be a highly effective tool for some investors, so why wouldn't you funnel all of your savings into it? Well, this is where wealth strategy really comes into play. and where a financial plan may provide valuable perspective. Let's talk about the fourth and final consideration regarding retirement savings: withdrawal limits. Withdrawal limits are important here as we always need to balance tax efficiency with access to our savings. Should a short-term need come up, money locked up in a retirement account is of little help, as you'll potentially be penalized when withdrawing the money early. So what are the withdrawal limits? In broad terms, and there are exceptions to every rule, for a traditional 401k or IRA, you cannot withdraw your funds until you reach the age of 59 and a half. If you withdraw sooner than that, you face a 10% penalty, almost completely undermining the tax benefit received. For Roth 401ks or IRAs, you have a bit more flexibility to avoid the 10% early withdrawal penalty. Broadly speaking, the same 59 and a half age limit applies for penalty-free withdrawals, but early withdrawals are possible too. Let's go through the criteria. You can withdraw contributions to a Roth tax-free at any time post-contribution. Remember, you put post-tax money into the account, so taking post money out without penalty makes sense. Earnings are more complex. You can withdraw your earnings and contributions tax-free once you've reached the age of 59 and a half, and a minimum of 5 years has passed since the first contribution was made to the account. For Justin and Bryony, if they started contributing to a Roth IRA today through a backdoor strategy, in 5 years they would be able to withdraw their contributions tax-free, but they would have to wait until they reach 59 and a half before they could withdraw any earnings. That's going to be capital growth, dividends, and interest, which they've earned on their contributions while in the Roth account. Further, special withdrawal options exist for things like first-time home buyers and payment for higher education costs. One caution must be made here. Filing the taxes for these withdrawals requires significant attention to detail in order to avoid negative penalties or tax consequences. While easy on paper, it's important to work with a professional to get it right. The benefit of after-tax brokerage accounts is that you can access the capital at any point without concern for tax filing risk. Beyond paying tax on any gains incurred upon withdrawing your money, the after-tax brokerage accounts have no tax restrictions on withdrawal. The contrast in flexibility among account types is an important factor when evaluating how much you should contribute to each type of account. For high earners with long-term retirement goals after 59 and a half, pre-tax retirement accounts are often viewed as the most tax-efficient options. To the extent your pre-tax contributions are limited, Roth accounts are typically the next most efficient. For shorter-term goals like buying a home, starting a business, or taking a sabbatical, you could use an after-tax brokerage account. While these accounts may be less tax efficient, they offer quick access to your capital without penalty or restrictions. So let's recap. If you're a high earner, you have some options. You've got the traditional 401k, which may provide immediate tax benefits by reducing taxable income in the year of contribution. You've got Roth options, but because of income restrictions, you will likely need to use workarounds to access them. These can be great for tax-free growth if your plan allows them, but they're only worth it if the long-term trade-offs fit your goals. And then you've got after-tax investing, which is always available to you for flexibility and liquidity. So find the right mix for you. And remember, finding the right balance isn't only about how to minimize your taxes. It's about designing a financial plan that supports your life today while building security for tomorrow. NerdWallet Wealth Partners can help with that. Click the link in the description and we'll get started. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.